Hello, it is Miss Kane here with another episode of the Carver Chronicles. Don't feed the geckos. And today I've got a friend with me. This is Aki. I usually leave Aki in his or her terrarium. Aki is a juvenile red iguana, and Aki has a very fiery temper. My daughter named Aki. It means devil in Japanese, I believe. Um, but taking Aki out of the terrarium and a terrarium is where the lizard lives. It can be a stressful battle for myself and for Aki. You won't be able to see him, but I've got scratches all over my hands because if you notice, Aki is very, very long fingers with very sharp claws. And as you can see, that eyeball, Aki is definitely checking things out. But I also have to be careful because Aki has a very long tail. A very long tail. And this tail is used for whipping its predators. And I have been whipped in the face with the tail a couple times. And now we've got a curious kitty down here. And so my hope is that Aki doesn't freak out. There's the tail whipping. Yeah, you got whipped in the face. Um, so I usually, because Aki, even though we've had Aki for months and months and months, um, Aki is still a wild animal. And I definitely make sure to, as a lizard, give it its space. But it has to get used to us and being handled because we have other pets. And iguanas get very big. And not only do they get very big, they have very sharp teeth. And they can bite through fingers and things of that nature. So I'm going to see if I can get through this story with Aki on my shoulder and hopefully not get whipped in the face while I read this chapter. So I believe we left off on chapter 7, and it's time for us to read chapter 8. And chapter 8 is called Soccer Practice. So I'm going to put Aki on my shoulder. Let's see. I definitely want to make sure that I be careful. And I'm going to try to position Aki's tail behind me so that if any whipping happens, it happens behind me and not in front of me. And then wherever Aki decides to move is where Aki decides to move. So, chapter 8, Soccer Practice. Soccer practice after school, Mommy says, handing Carlos and Bernardo sack lunches. Make sure you're standing on the school steps pronto. Last time we were late and Coach Willis wasn't too pleased. She directs them to the front door. And don't be late to school either. But Bernardo has a problem with lollygagging. When they pass Rick B's junkyard, he decides to aggravate the killer guard dog by laughing and rattling the chain link fence until the slobbering hound is rushing it, barking and snarling. Not a good idea. As someone that is an owner of lots of pets, I think it is very, very important to respect a pet space. Now, if you notice right now, the cat is trying to go behind me. But because I have Aki on my shoulder and I don't need Aki afraid and whipping me around the back in the face, I'm not going to let her go behind me. Anyways, on with the story. Ha ha, Bernardo laughs. That dog can't do nothing. He barks back at the dog. Bernardo, cut it out. Why? He can't get me through the fence. Because it's not fair to the dog. I don't care about being fair to the dog. They pass Global Tire and Brakes, and Bernardo sneaks into the customer waiting room to get some gumballs out of the dispenser. Carlos calls after him that they're going to be late, but winds up saying it to Bernardo's retreating back. Carlos decides to continue on to school by himself. If Bernardo gets lost, too bad. He's sick of Bernardo. He doesn't make his bed. He leaves his pajamas on the floor in the bathroom. And Carlos suspects that he's not really showering at night. And he leaves blobs of spitty toothpaste in the sink and doesn't rinse it out. How can anybody brush their teeth over that? Last night, Carlos had brought up his complaints to Mommy when Bernardo was out of earshot. He's missing his mother, Mommy explained. He doesn't act like it. When she calls, he gets off the phone real quick so he can get back to his video game. Be patient with him. He's your cousin, and family's important. I know. How can I forget? Bernardo catches up to Carlos, and they reach the schoolyard just as the lineup bell rings. The cat keeps trying to come over here. Bernardo gets into the line behind Carlos, chewing his gum loudly. So this is going to be a time where I'm definitely going to have to do some policing while I'm reading to keep myself safe, more importantly than anything, because I've got an animal on me, and she just whipped her tail. I've got an animal on me with very sharp claws, very sharp teeth, and a really long, powerful tail. So if Pie keeps coming over here trying to be nosy, it could put me in jeopardy. So as I'm reading the book, you guys are going to see me kind of shooing her away occasionally, because I don't want to get whipped in the face. Go, Pie. Go. Alrighty. Bernardo catches up to Carlos, and they reach the schoolyard just as the lineup bell rings. Bernardo gets into the line behind Carlos, chewing his gum loudly. Carlos vows not to say anything. If Bernardo gets into trouble, it'll just be too bad. No school allows gum chewing, so he won't be able to play dumb. But then Carlos thinks better of it. You better get rid of that gum, he whispers to Bernardo. He can see Miss Shelby Ortiz making her way over to their line. What? Bernardo says out loud. Deja turns around and glares at him. Shh, she hisses. No talking. Bernardo flinches. Who's that girl? Carlos ignores the question. Bernardo stops the obvious chewing. Miss Shelby Ortiz walks up, inspects the line, and signals for them to start for the classroom. Bernardo suddenly has to make a trip to the bathroom right after school. Carlos heads to the front entrance where Mommy is probably sitting in the car, tapping the steering wheel impatiently. She's not supposed to stop right in front of the school. There's a policeman who sometimes circles the building in his patrol car at dismissal time so he can tell people to move along. Well, Bernardo knows where the front steps are. Better for Carlos to get out there and let Mommy be annoyed with just one of them as opposed to them both. Carlos was happy to see that the coast was clear out front. No policemen. Mommy must be running late. Bernardo saunters up just as Mommy pulls in front of the school. Is the guy never in a hurry? Carlos climbs into the back seat next to Issy. She's strapped into her kid seat because she hasn't reached the right weight to use just the seatbelt. It's also important that you reach the right height. Bernardo gets in the front. Carlos sighs nervously. He's not looking forward to practice after last week. He couldn't do anything right. Coach Willis had them work in pairs and practice passing the ball to each other. There was so much to remember. Use the base of the ankle. Make sure the ankle is locked on the follow-through. He kept messing up and annoying his partner, this kid from another school named Barton Holmby. How many times did he have to run after the ball while Barton waited with his hands on his hips and a scowl on his face? Then he'd actually complain to Coach Willis. Can I get another partner? He'd called out in front of everybody. I'm not getting enough practice. Carlos knows Barton is a whiny kid, always complaining and blaming others when he makes a mistake, always getting his mother to complain about this or that while he stands a little ways away watching. But still, it's embarrassing. Do your best, Coach Willis had called back to him. Today at practice, they're paired up and practicing dribbling and passing again. Carlos looks over at Bernardo and his partner. They seem to be doing great. He knows Coach Willis isn't noticing. Coach will probably be thrilled to put Big Bernardo on the team. So, what else is new? Carlos says under his breath. It's his favorite phrase. Next, they run the cones, and Coach Willis has to keep telling Carlos and a few other players, keep hunched, don't straighten. After a while, he catches sight of Bernardo and smiles broadly. Bernardo, get over here. Bernardo has a funny look on his face. He's probably wondering if he's in trouble. Did he do something wrong? Carlos watches, trying not to be obvious. After Coach Willis and Bernardo finish conferencing, Coach starts calling kids in from the field, Carlos included. When there are about 6 of them standing around, Coach Willis announces, Bernardo here is going to work with you. He's got good technique, so do what he says. Carlos doesn't want to work with Bernardo. He doesn't want to do what Bernardo tells him, but he keeps his mouth shut as he watches Bernardo demonstrate a dribble using both the inside and the outside of his foot. Practice is easier when Coach Willis isn't zeroing in on their technique over and over and bringing a player's weakness to everyone's attention. Carlos is almost relieved when Coach finally blows his whistle and calls them all over to him. He says, okay, count off and we'll play a little practice game. That's the way it goes. First the skills and then a practice game. That's when Carlos gets to run around mimicking the other players, looking like he's doing something, hoping he'll get better. Sometimes he wonders why he even plays soccer. Then he remembers it's because of Poppy. He wants to please Poppy. Poppy is a big soccer fan, so he probably keeps hoping that one day Carlos will wake up and be really good. When Mommy picks them up, Bernardo recounts in detail all the things he noticed about the other players and how Coach Willis had him help with some of the kids who just weren't getting it. He turns to Carlos. You need to try harder, he says. It looks like you're just waiting for practice to be over. Then he launches into more talk about himself. Carlos has to put up with this the entire ride home. It even carries over to dinner. And what's worse is that Poppy sits there looking interested in what he has to say. So, Coach Willis has you helping some of your teammates? Yeah, Bernardo looks over at Carlos. Wow, I'm not surprised, Poppy turns to Carlos. So how did you do, Carlos? Bernardo was helping Carlos too, Issy says. Oh, Poppy asks. Yeah, Carlos admits. What more is there to say? Just what did he have to help you with? Before Carlos can answer Poppy's question, Bernardo pipes up with, Carlos was having a lot of problems with dribbling and returning the ball. Poppy says. So Carlos is that's probably what you need to focus on. Yeah, I guess so, Carlos says. He's relieved when dinner is over and he can escape to his room to check on his creatures. Poppy and Bernardo will probably find some sports things to watch on TV. Then Bernardo can show Poppy what a big sports guy he is. And that is the end of chapter 8. If you notice for this episode, I have been very nervous because this little kitty right here keeps coming over here. And I am terrified of what the lizard is going to do if he or she gets scared. We don't know yet if Aki is a boy or girl. So see the whipping of the tail? So now I need to find a way to not get bit. And I just got whipped in the back of the head again. Thank God for this hat. I got to figure out a way to get Aki off the back of my shoulder, not get whipped in the face, and not get bit. Because even though Aki is a small lizard, Aki's teeth are still very sharp. And Aki will be able to break skin. So, and if you look, I'm going to move closer to the camera. And now you can see Aki is really checking me out. Aki keeps breathing really heavy. And Aki is paying very close attention to me because Aki doesn't know what I'm doing. And I just want to make sure I don't get whipped in the face. Because as you saw, that tail is really long. but you hear the hissing. So I definitely want to, and that body jerking motion was the tail being whipped. So I'm going to do this off camera because I don't want to be embarrassed at the end of this video because this lizard beat me in my face. So anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed chapter 8 of the Carver Chronicles, Don't Feed the Geckos. And guys, be careful with iguanas. Okay, I got you, Aki. Do you? Okay, guys, bye.